Real quick before the video starts, I have a new channel based around green tech stories on 4chan, and I'll be uploading videos daily over there. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to the channel in the description. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named CalmAd in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I called off my wedding after finding out my fiancé never had the money he promised to contribute. I, a 33-year-old woman, have been with my partner, a 32-year-old man, for 5 years. He proposed in March 2024, and we agreed to get married in December 2025. He promised to cover 70% of the wedding costs and said he would transfer money to my account whenever I paid for something. I ended up handling all the planning and bookings. By April this year, I had already paid around $500,000 in local currency, but when I checked, he had not sent me a single cent. I kept reminding him, and he always said, 'Yes, baby,' after work. I work in an accounting firm with over 40 clients, so I am extremely busy and did not have time to double check every day, but I trusted him. When we finally sat down to talk about it, I found out he did not actually have the money. He planned to ask his parents or use future income, meaning he had been lying about having savings. All this time, he bragged about being financially stable and successful. He is a lawyer, but apparently it was all talk. I understand that people can go through tough financial times, but lying about it and letting me carry all the burden felt like a betrayal. I decided to call off the wedding and the relationship. Now he is throwing the wedding expenses in my face, even though I did all the work. My parents think I should go through with it since the engagement has already been announced to the family. I feel heartbroken, used, and honestly fooled. And seriously, if you cannot afford to get married, why propose in the first place? Update. Thank you so much for the support. I did not expect my post to receive much attention, but reading your responses has helped me feel less alone and more validated in what I was feeling. It has been 1 week since I called everything off. He has been texting and calling without stopping, switching between apologizing and guilt-tripping me. At one point he said, "We can still fix this, it is just money." But it was never just about the money. It was the lying, the manipulation, the months of pretending to be someone he was not, and letting me drown financially and emotionally while he played the role of the dependable fiancé. I am staying with a close friend for now while I sort things out. I have cried more than I thought possible, but each day I feel a little lighter. The fog is lifting. His family finally reached out, trying to mediate. His mother even asked if we could simply scale down the wedding instead of canceling it. I told them very calmly that there is no wedding to scale down. I am done and I mean it. I have also started looking through everything I paid for, checking which vendors I can cancel or from whom I can get partial refunds. It is unpleasant to say the least, but I would rather lose money than lose myself in a marriage built on lies. My parents are slowly coming around. My father said something last night that really struck me. It is better to disappoint people for a moment than to disappoint yourself for a lifetime. I nearly cried with relief when I heard that. I do not know what comes next, but I know what I left behind and I know it was the right thing to do. Thank you so much again. You really helped me a great deal, and I am grateful from the bottom of my heart. F. King Cherokee said, "What is with OP's parents? I'm going to make sure my child knows that they can back out at any point before saying 'I do' and leave at any point afterward. Too many people feel stuck or believe they can take advantage of their partner once a ring is involved, and those two kinds of people end up together very often." Europe Susan said, "Good for OP to end things after so much lying." This second story was made in the marriage subreddit by a user Naked Fair Strain. The post is titled, "How do I repair things after I really hurt my husband with a comment? I, a 36-year-old woman, need some advice on how to smooth things over with my husband, a 38-year-old man, after a recent slip-up. We have been married for almost 9 years and have 2 children, an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. Our youngest is autistic and has a hearing impairment. Up until our son was 4 months old, my husband was working 12-hour days. Once it became clear that our son had additional needs, he quit his job during the coronavirus pandemic to work from home and be more present for the family. He handles school drop-offs, after-school activities, and even dinner while I am at work. However, his job still requires him to travel quite a lot. He has been away for about 70 days so far this year. In November, he was only home for 6 days, and during one of our video calls, I made an offhand comment about getting used to being a single parent while he was away. It was not meant to hurt him, but I could see how upset he was. Since he has been back, there has been a noticeable distance between us. He is still great with the children, but emotionally, he seems withdrawn. He has turned down intimacy twice since returning home, something he had only done once before after his vasectomy. I have apologized, but he says the comment was true and justified. I am looking for practical advice on how to reconnect and move past this. Should I simply give it time, or is there something specific I can do to repair the situation? OP proceeded to give us an update in the comments. Okay, so I knew that asking random anonymous strangers on the internet would open a can of worms. I know my comment was bad, and I said it after 10 straight days of having the children by myself, knowing that there was another week to go. I probably should have explained about his work. My husband works in an industry where working from home is not the norm. His employer is halfway across the country, and because he joined them during a lockdown and demonstrated that he could do the work remotely, they allowed him to keep doing it. They are now making suggestions for him to relocate on site, but as long as his performance is good, they cannot really force him to move. Also, he is fortunate to have the job he has. He is working towards obtaining his qualifications in the industry, and because his employer was desperate during the coronavirus pandemic, they were able to employ him without the usual degrees. He is still about 3 years away from being fully qualified as he studies part-time. Some other information. I will not go into too much detail about our intimate life. It is infrequent at best, which is due to me. I underwent cancer treatment about 2 years ago, and my libido has been poor since then. He is very understanding and forgiving about it. Thank you to everyone who gave constructive comments. I have read through them and will post an update on what is happening. Update. Hello everyone. Almost a year ago, I posted this thread looking for advice. Since then, he and I have had a couple of major conversations which ended in us separating. Apparently, it stems back to when he started working from home and took on the lion's share of the household duties. It seems I became accustomed to him doing everything, including investing in our relationship. We are doing marriage counseling, and I am hopeful for some reconciliation and the possibility of moving back in together at some point. We are doing a week on, week off arrangement with the children, which seems to be working well for them. I know I am not entirely to blame. He has significant issues with communication and with bottling things up. I think we could have resolved this earlier if he had been more communicative. Anyway, we have been apart for nearly 4 months now. Neither of us is dating, and I still believe things are fixable. For those who chose to send me direct messages saying that I deserve to be divorced, cheated on, assaulted, or worse, I hope you have the life you deserve. For those who have given genuine and helpful advice, thank you. I truly mean it. You helped me find the courage to have honest conversations with my husband, and we probably would have been on the fast track to divorce if not for your helping me to frame those conversations. Almost Infinity said, so this man who was working 12-hour days to provide for his family, quit his job and obtained a remote position to care for his child with special needs, handled many parenting duties, and still has to travel for work at times, is then told he is basically a deadbeat. To this comment, user Mordax Tenebrae said, do not forget part-time schooling for his job qualifications. I have done it, and just completing 1 or 2 university courses per term while working full-time is hard enough. I cannot imagine how difficult it would be to add working on a marriage and taking care of 1 child, plus a child with special needs. Riftwave said, I do not think their marriage can be salvaged. Despite the partial realization that things were far worse than she had understood, even though she is one half of the relationship, she still manages to place the blame on him on the basis of poor communication. Fixing problems like this requires sustained selflessness and vulnerability, which she does not seem willing to embrace. I imagine that they will separate, and she will blame him for giving up on the relationship after hiding the problems that existed. This final story was made in the advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "My coworker booked all the best vacation days for the year and no one else can have them. I am relatively new in my position with a small company in the construction industry. Because we are a small family business with a particular specialty, we do not have much depth in some key positions. For this reason, a new vacation policy was put in place shortly before I arrived last year. Employees are required to give 3 weeks notice for vacations, and only one employee in a given group. Sales, administration, customer service representatives, or field technicians can be on vacation at a time. This initially caused some grumbling, but everybody seems to have adjusted to it. The process is that a calendar goes up every January, and people write in their names on the dates they want to take off in that calendar year. You can put your name down throughout the year as long as you complete your request 3 weeks in advance. If somebody else in your group writes his or her name in on a day you want off before you do, you must choose another day. So here's the issue. At the beginning of the year, the calendar went up. A week or so later, one employee, whom we will call Jane, wrote her name down on the Friday and Monday before and after each holiday, in addition to other days throughout the year. Jane has also been here longer than anyone else and therefore has more vacation days than anyone else. Another employee in the same group, Lucinda, became very angry about that as soon as it happened, though she never brought it up to her manager. She has since left the company. I can understand Lucinda's frustration at discovering that all those coveted days were already taken, but there was no policy against it, so Jane did not break any written rules. Lucinda also had the same access to the calendar and the same amount of time to write her name on it as Jane did. On the other hand, I think Jane should have realized that this move might be unwelcome to her co-workers. I have always worked in much larger companies, so this is my first time dealing with this situation. My question is this: have we as a company erred in not preventing one employee from claiming all the good days? How do other companies handle this? Update. I approached my manager about changing how we handled the days before and after holidays. We decided not to accept requests for these days until 2 months before the date. For example, no Thanksgiving week requests would be accepted before the middle of September. If there are conflicts when we do accept those requests, we first look to see who had those days off the previous year, and if there is still a conflict, seniority applies. So far, it is working well and we have had no further problems. Here is an interesting thing though. The co-worker Jane, whose calendar strategy prompted my letter, ended up in a serious car accident 2 months ago and was out of work for several weeks. She is much better and back at work now, but the number one thing on her mind as we kept in touch with her during her recovery, yes, you guessed it, was how is this going to affect my vacation time? Gwynison said, at least they came up with a common sense alternative in the update, because that combination of rules in the original new policy was clearly a bad idea. Wounded SM said, I had a coworker lie when I was brand new and claimed that she was coordinating holidays for our group. In fact, she used this to take the days I had requested because she was a petty and insecure person. The joke was on her though. I took a vacation for Christmas instead of working as I had planned, since I ended up stuck working during Thanksgiving, which I had originally asked to have off. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.